everyone. Happy New Year. 2026 is here. Holy moly. And this is our first episode of Caffeinated Coverage Talk of 2026. What a way to start off with a very well published author and a dear friend of ours who is Chief Distribution Officer at Your IA. Welcome, Chris Felton. How are you?
I am better than ever. Now that I'm here with you guys, I got coffee. We got Michelle and Todd, two of my favorite people, and I'm just excited to be here.
I
So
love
thanks,
it. And of
thanks
course,
for
you
having me.
guys know Todd and I am Michelle Burnt, your president at InsurTech Hub.
I'm Todd Hall, and the CEO and founder of InsurTech Hub.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we wrapped up 2025 with some amazing guests. And
Mhm.
honestly, all the topics were about insurance products that we offer. And as we jump into a new year, everyone's setting goals. They're talking about new year, new you. And as I got to know Chris, he sent me his book and it's autographed. So I feel kind of special, Chris.
Wow,
And
you
when
you
I
are
started,
special.
well,
you are
thank you,
special.
thank you,
You
thank
are
you.
very
I'll pay you
special.
later.
Todd always says that.
When I started diving in, I'm like, this couldn't be any better for a podcast, but just New Year in general. It's all about think and grow you. Get out of your own way. I love that. I'm going to say it again. Get out of your own way and level up your life. But that's easier said than done. And that's what this entire book is about. So, welcome, Chris. I can't wait to dive in. But can we just start with a couple housekeeping things? Do you drink
Yeah.
coffee? Because
Oh,
you can
yeah.
only be on our podcast
It's
if
not.
you
It's
do.
not. Yeah. Well, it's not measured in cups. It's measured in pots. Like it's. I mean, that's kind of how it is. Anyway.
Cheers.
I knew
Yeah.
there was a good. I knew there was a
Cheers.
reason I really liked you, Chris.
Cheers. Yep.
Cheers. Awesome.
Yes, love it. I got a new cup for Christmas from my dad because he knows I'm obsessed with coffee. And this is like my motto: stressed, blessed, and coffee obsessed.
I like that. Yes.
That's
hmm
phenomenal. I love
Yes.
that.
What kind of coffee you drink, Chris?
Well, it's called Cognition Mushroom Coffee Medium Roast. Anyway, it's got because I'm all about health. Mushroom, lion's mane mushrooms. Like and don't let the mushroom thing scare you. It's epic. Very good for you. And yeah, Life Boost Coffee.
I've
Ooh.
actually been reading about like there's like rise, I think it is like the mushroom type of coffee. I've been reading about that, and I've actually been thinking about getting some of it.
Yeah,
I have been seeing it all
lion's mane.
online. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Lion's
hmm
mane, you can Google lion's mane, how powerful that is for you, and like, you know,
hmm
reversing dementia and like all sorts of stuff that's like pretty epic stuff.
What,
So,
Well,
what
Todd,
what
what do
did
you drink?
what did you just say, Chris? Reduce what?
dementia and all
Yeah,
that.
I know
Anyway,
that.
yeah, anyway,
I
I
know
know.
I'm being
Yeah,
goofy.
I know. I know.
Here we
We just,
go.
we act like it's okay just so you're not uncomfortable. But yeah,
But Michelle said I had to get some new jokes for 2026. So that's a new joke.
that's a
Yeah.
new
So there you go.
joke.
That's a
Boom.
new joke. Yeah.
You guys need some sound effects for this thing. You need to like,
Oh,
get bells ringing and
I know.
drums and all that stuff. Yeah.
Well, Todd,
I
now I
love it.
feel like we drink boring coffee compared to that. What do you drink?
I'm kind of a traditional Dunkin' Donuts. I like a lot. It's kind of my go-to coffee. But it's I drink probably 3 or 4 cups a day. I'm all day long. I got a cup in my hand. I go back to the microwave and heat it up. But Dunkin' Donuts is kind of my go-to. A little bit of cream, a little bit of sugar. I've kind of cut back on both of those.
Yep.
But I'm going to try that mushroom coffee. Yeah, I've heard so much about that, and Lord
So
knows I need
much.
to
Good.
get healthier in 2026.
Good. Amen.
I
Amen to
love
that.
it. All right. Well, let's dive in because we got some good stuff today. But a
hmm
little birdie told me you've done over 150 podcasts. So I feel like we're going to be judged on how we run our podcast. Maybe we're not good enough for you, Chris.
No, whatever. No, one of my favorite quotes in the book is I'm a miracle and a mess at the same time. So anyway,
Yes.
like all that,
Yes. And
all
and
that.
that is exactly how God created us to be.
Yep.
And I love that. So let's dive in. So Todd and I are enjoying your book. I've only made it through the first 3 pillars, but I am going to finish it this month and I'm already in love. And it's called, again, for those listening, Think and Grow You, how to get out of your own way and level up your life. So, Chris, did you ever even think you'd become an author? How did this even come about?
Yeah, well, actually, I wrote a book in 2011 with my wife called Couples Money.
Ooh.
And so that story was about, my wife married what she thought was one thing, and then she realized there was another thing. And she didn't know that she was marrying a broke financial advisor and a recovering CPA. So I was $250,000 in debt, leaking thousands of dollars a month. And it all came to a head one night when she threw her purse at me. I don't know if any women out there have ever thrown their purse at their husbands, but what kind
Not
of woman?
yet, but that doesn't mean it won't
What,
happen.
what kind of woman throws a purse? A very irritated, pissed off woman, and she threw it at me 3 times. But anyway, we call it the purse throwing incident because it's what I needed to kind of wake up. And the next day, she said, "I'm keeping you. We're not getting divorced. We're not declaring bankruptcy. We're not, dropping our entrepreneurial dreams, and we're going to figure this out." So she
Love it.
interviewed a bunch of wealthy couples, and I did a lot of work with it. I talk about a lot of it in Think and Grow You. And we did the work and we transformed our lives and, just took our income up to 7 figures, 5 times where we were, eliminate all that debt. But Billy Graham's got a quote that it's one of my favorites. He said, once you get your attitude straight around money, it helps straighten out every area of your life. And the spiritual blessings, the health, I got better energy at 54 than 34. Like it's kind of that journey as a couple, and how instead of a lot of couples do this with each other, we kind of did this and went shoulder to shoulder and moved forward and did some amazing things. So anyway, so that's where that came from. But where this book came from, in my old firm that I was a leader in for 23 years, I was kind of known as the mindset, mental toughness dude. And when I speak and write books, my main goal is to help people not repeat my stupidity. And so I had just done thousands of trainings, and one of our consultants for that firm, a guy named Steve Siebold, he is a personal development legend. He's a speaking hall of fame. He sold 5 million books. He called me at the end of 2021 and he said, "Dude, I've heard you enough. You got to write a book. And I'm going to spend the next 9 months teaching you how to really write, because it's going to be out there forever. And I think it's going to help a lot of people." And I think it's a guide for anybody in our industry that's, commission based, 1099 in sales. It's a handbook of going from, my keynote talk is how to, from broken stuck to 7 figures. Like it's literally a handbook for somebody to go make that happen.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so that's how it came about. And I'm happy that it's well received, because we put a lot of work into it, and I'm pleased with it.
I just want to mention real quick, you mentioned the word handbook, and I want to point out something to people that I hadn't thought about till you said that. There's a lot of self-help guides books out there, and I love them. I try to read so many a year because I just think you need to stay fresh on your mind, right? Here's what makes this book different. Not only are you reading, and it's an easy, good read, but each chapter has actual action items, and that is game changer. Like I noticed, Chris, you're big on journaling, and we're talking about obstacles. Write down what your obstacles are. We're talking about negative mindsets. Tell me what your negative mindsets are. So each chapter, you read about it, you think about it, but then you actually take action items. So when Chris says handbook, that's what he means. And I love that, because you can read till you're blue in the face, but actually doing something about it, that's game changer.
Yeah. It's application. You got to apply it. And I'm not good at a lot of things, but I'm good at like taking something and applying it into my life until it becomes habitual.
I love it.
Chris, I love that. In your book, you talk about the 5 pillars in your book, and I'm excited to go through all 5 of them together with those, like Michelle was saying. But can you maybe, for our listeners, just give them a general idea, kind of briefly summarize those 5 pillars?
Yeah, there's a little I call attitudinal attitude adjustment kind of going in. that if you don't do this part, the 5 pillars are useless. But one is we have to humble down. We have to humble down. And one of my favorite quotes is, "Your ego is not your amigo." And I had a big ego. I worked with a coach for 4.5 years. It changed my life. And anytime my ego would flare up, he'd say, "Hey, Chris, uh, based on results, how's your way working?"
Mm-hmm.
And hated that question, but it would always get me to humble down, right? Number two is you got to be willing to change. And most people live in hopium, and hopium is hoping the outside world will change while we insist on staying the same. You must be willing to
Ooh,
change.
that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I call that rearranging the furniture on the deck of the Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was doing. Um, because we got to grow. And one of my favorite quotes from author Jeff Shore is, "A life spent seeking comfort results in an entirely uncomfortable existence." And so you got to do the work to change, and you got to understand that the work is going to be worth it. And so you get that dialed in, then the 5 pillars are, first is getting out of our own way. And what does that mean? That means we all get in our own way. We all have self-sabotaging patterns that lead to not the result that we don't want. And so thinking about what we think about, called metacognition, is you got to know what you're thinking about. And when you catch yourself going down that path, pillar two is you got to shift. You got to have tools to shift, to get a different thought, to take a different action, to get a different result. 3 is relationships. Everything you want in life comes from and through relationships. Those have to work, right? 4 is, the game plan, the goal setting. And, it's that time of year. And my coach said, "Chris, you're a really good goal setter, but you're a horrific goal achiever." And it's because I was doing what everyone else does. So there's concrete how-tos on actually how to be a goal achiever in there. It's just different. I've been running that for 17 years. It works. And then the last thing is just the dream. That's the 5th pillar. And average performers think dreams are hokey, but world-class people know that dreams are necessary. And when my coach found me, I was struggling. Um, I was a mess. And he said, "What are your dreams?" I didn't have them anymore. He said, "You went from dreaming to dream flat. Most people are dream flat to being dream dead."
Mm-hmm.
And so, are you dream flat or you dream dead? So those are the pillars. So anyway.
Wow. Good stuff. So I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
throw you on the spot because I just thought of something. If you had to pick one pillar that's your favorite, what would it be? I know what mine is. I'm curious what you say.
Well, I mean, I think you got to have dreams. I mean, if you don't have dreams, and if you're not seeing it, visualizing it,
Yeah.
touching it, like if you're not creating the fire of desire with your
What are we
dreams,
doing?
like it just doesn't matter. And
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
actually strong enough desire can overcome a lot of stuff in here. But I think that's it. And I think clarity is just massively important.
No, that's a really good one. Mine is the shift. And I also it could be shift, it could be change.
Yeah.
I am one who actually loves change. A lot of people scare away from shifting and changing. And my favorite quote is, and I think my dad told me it growing up, but while change isn't fun, it doesn't mean it's not necessary. And so this whole pillar two about shifting your mindset and your thoughts and your behaviors, it can make or break you. And if
Yep.
you're not willing to shift, you're not willing to get out of your own way, and you will fail. And
Yep.
so, it's sometimes, especially in the insurance industry, there's a lot of veterans that are set in the old ways of insurance, but gosh, healthcare changes daily. You got to be willing to shift or you'll be left behind in the dust. So for me, it was pillar two. I really, really liked that.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so new year, new you. Everyone, as you just mentioned, is setting goals. But you're right, they're really good at making vision boards and setting out their goals. But if you don't have an action plan, how are you going to achieve it? How are you even going to check in to know if you're achieving it?
Yeah.
So where would you tell agents or anyone in the sales industry to start, and how can they utilize this book to get there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the tactics and the how-tos but one of the things, I mean, I've been blessed to be in front of and get mentored by some pretty amazing people, right? And I would be in these conferences with thousands of people, and the most successful person would get up and they'd all say similar things. You got to know what you want. You got to know your why. You got to, right? And I'd be sitting there like writing notes for like the first time. Oh my God, that's so good. Like, oh, oh, that's brilliant. I got to know. I'd heard it a million times, right? I'm like, okay, I got to get clear on what I want. I got to know. And then I'd walk out of the conference and then a squirrel would run by me. And I'd be like, wait, I need to go catch that squirrel.
Because we're
Right?
human.
Yeah. I'm like, I gotta, once I catch that squirrel, then I'll do the hard work. And I was in a training, uh, and there was about 50 of us. We were kind of up and coming in that firm, and we had like the legends, including Monty, in front of the room, and they were pulling up these topics on like how to do the business, how tos, how tos, how tos. Now, one of my favorite books is If How Tos Were Enough, We'd All Be Rich, Skinny, and Happy, right? And but they bring up all these topics, but there was one guy missing, and he was Canadian, and he came in 5 years after me. His business was 10 times the size of me as my business. And I saw him in the bar at 2 a.m. So I knew why he was not there. And so we're 2 hours in, we're having this making of the sausage and all that. And he comes in, he looks horrific. I think he's still drunk. Anyway, he comes in and he comes in the middle of the room. He interrupts our chairman, right? Who's like the Tiger Woods of our firm.
Oh,
And,
Lord.
and he goes, what is this? What are you talking about? This stuff's not important. It's not important. From the time I showed up to this firm, I knew what I wanted. I knew where I was going. I knew why I wanted it, and I could spit it out in 30 seconds. And it's why I'm kicking all your butts, and you guys don't know. So have fun. And then he left. I think he went back. I think he went back to the bar. Anyway, and I mean, that was 14 years ago. I still remember it like it was yesterday. And my wife and I was sitting there. I'm like, we don't know what we want. And we don't know why we want it. And my coach said, hey, goal setting for average people is a logical process. For the world class, it's an emotional process. So sit down with your wife, set the goal. And it was really about us creating financial freedom in our lives. And he's like, and spend an hour on why. Why do we want it? She's like, I don't want to ever fight with you around money again. Why do you want it? I'm like, my kids live across the country. I need to see them. I need to be a good example. So we spent all this time on why. And the reason I bring that up is whoever's listening, your vehicle is probably a Ferrari to take you to where you want. But if there's no fuel in the Ferrari, your goals, dreams, and aspirations, your compelling emotional reasons, it's not going to go anywhere. It's a worthless car. So really I think that's important in this day and age of distraction, and our phones are weapons of mass distraction, and just these things. Like, you got to spend. So my wife and I are really good at that. What do we want? Why do we want it? And so I ask people, what do you want? And they just are like they stumble, they can't communicate it. So what that does is that really focuses your brain on what you need to apply, the action plans you need to take. All those things will come into your awareness, and the things
Yeah.
that you don't need, and you're no longer a beach ball in the ocean of life. You have clarity, and you are like an arrow towards your target. So clarity is massive, and it gives you tremendous confidence and tremendous energy, because you need energy to make your goals and dreams come true. So I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's where people fail, is they set stuff, but they never connect their compelling reasons why to what it is that they want.
I love that. And
So
sometimes you just got to write it out. Get
Got
a
to write
piece
it
of
out.
paper and write it out. If you can't get clarity
Got
here, write it out.
you got to do the work, and everyone's like, okay, I'll get to that. I'm like, if you want to change your life, you got to schedule it.
mhm.
Schedule your time. Do this very step, and there's prompts in my book on how to do it. But you got to get clear, and you got to see it every day.
I'm a big advocate of writing things down, Michelle. Like I've got my planner right next to me here, and I've got my to-do list, my appointments, my call list. And because we, like you mentioned earlier, we can get distracted so much. I mean, it's like the phones, the computers, and text messages, emails, it can just pull you away, but it can distract you. So true. Chris, one thing that we can all on this call agree with, that there's unfortunately so much negativity in this world. We turn on the TV and news, and it's mostly things that are, depressing and negative. But in your book, I love how you talk about how having a very healthy spirit and a healthy mindset. Can maybe elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, it's just that there's always stuff. There's always noise. I mean, I've been doing this since 1999. I mean, we go through stuff. There's always stuff, and if you're living life from the outside in, you will be that beach ball in the ocean of life.
Mhm.
And success is all inside out. So it's not like, I don't care about those. I care about those things. I'm empathetic, those things. But you have a choice of what you allow in.
Mm.
And my coach just taught me. He's like, the most simplest equation you need to understand is there's me plus a thought equals a result. If I don't like my result, there's me and the result. The thinking is what has to change. And so I just, I have to, I mean, metacognition, it's just a simple term for I got to think about what I think about. And if this thought's not serving me, I need to shift, I need to make those changes. But the big one is, and there's a I always throw too many books at people, but there's books all over. There's books inside my book that you need to jump on. But a guy named Shirzad Shamin wrote a book called Positive Intelligence, just unbelievable, and it's all about sabotage and self-sabotage. And he says judgment is public enemy number one. And so if there's a project to work on, and it's an infinite project, and you'll never have it perfect, I'll never have it perfect, but I'm better than I was 15 years ago. Watch where you judge, judging others, judging yourself. Just become aware of it. And when it comes up, don't need to beat yourself up, don't need to be guilty, but judging stuff. So you're letting stuff in. If you're judging it, you're taking the bait, you're sabotaging, you're getting distracted. But I just think it's important to understand, to think about what you think about, and just understand and shift when those thoughts aren't leading you to what it ultimately is that you want. And if you don't know what you want, then any road will get you there, right? So
Wow,
you gotta
Mhm.
that
you
is
gotta
so
get clear.
powerful, Chris, because if you're judging things or judging others, you're just moving the distraction off yourself.
Yeah,
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 that's
yeah,
that's really powerful.
yeah.
I am very big on my atmosphere, my surroundings, my bubble. I'm a positive Patty, and so everyone around me needs to be like that. And the quote is, "You are who you hang around." But also, you'll find what you're searching for. If you're always searching for negativity, you're gonna find it. If you're
Mhm.
always, living in the rainbows and clouds, sometimes I got to bring myself back to reality, but it helps me keep a positive mindset. So
Yep.
there's just so much about having a positive mindset and a healthy spirit. And if you don't have that, you better start there, because
Mhm.
how do you set goals, and how do you shift yourself without that positive mindset?
Yeah. Yeah. It takes work.
Yeah. Okay,
Yep, to
let's
develop.
let's switch gears and get to know Chris. So, besides being a famous author, what do you do? Where do you work? What are your other hobbies? Tell us about Chris.
Yeah. So I grew up in Colorado, and now I'm full-time Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, with my wife, because she said If it snows again, I'm out.
I love
So,
her. I love her.
yeah. So we'll go back to Colorado during the summers, but yeah, I got a 24-year-old and 21-year-old, Caden and Carson. So as I tell everyone, I hit the dad jackpot with my kids. So distance was between them being in Atlanta and me being in Colorado, but a lot of the stuff that I talk about in my book,
Hmm.
one of the reasons I wrote the book is if nobody cared about my book, I wanted my kids to read it and to learn from dad's stupidity. So that's been awesome. Them going, Dad, what the hell? We had
Yeah.
no we had no idea, Dad, and I put it all out there. So, uh, but married to my second current and last wife, Marlo. So anyway, she's phenomenal. We've been married since 2006 and have gone through a lot of transition the last few years, but landed with your IA and chief distribution officer there and part of what's called Associate Owners Group and helping
AOG.
my A number one mentor, Monty Holm, who's a one in a billion, on his last business hurrah. He's a business legend, and he wants to help agents, advisors, the 1099 person. He has a heart for him. He's trained them. He's trained tens of thousands of people over the years, but really for him, it's about whoever that person is that meets the client and changes their life and helps them have security or financial independence. They should have ownership, but that's not the way it is in the industry
Yeah,
because
he's making major waves
he's making
and
major
some good
waves.
books he's written.
Yeah, he's written
Hmm.
some good stuff, but yeah, but it's all about ownership. So he wants to create ownership for those agencies and those people, and he doesn't want ownership to forever flow to private equity and Wall Street. He wants it to be the owners. And so I've been helping him since August. We've had 17 groups merge in with us, partner with us. It's unbelievable. We got another 33 that are very interested because it's earth shattering. It's a mission. It's as he says, commissions create lifestyle, but ownership creates legacy
Ooh,
Hmm.
that's good.
and wealth. And so we want to help people that want to help families get financially free or get protected, and we want to provide an ownership opportunity for those agencies, leaders, and we want to get widespread ownership down to the last person. So they because people treat things different if they own it versus rent it. We don't wash our rental cars on the way back to the airport, right? So
Yeah.
ownership is a huge thing, and the industry's never figured it out, but he
Hmm.
has. So that's what I'm doing, and it's a
Love it.
blast. And I'm blessed
We
to be where I'm sitting.
we absolutely love that. And Michelle and I, we haven't made a public announcement, but we'll go ahead and let the cat out of the bag. We're very blessed that we're going to be a part of that mission, that partnership when it comes to life insurance and managed money. So we're going to be able to offer that to all of our thousands of distribution partners across the country to where they can participate in that ownership here in the near future. So we'll have a formal public announcement on that. Who knows, maybe by the time this podcast drops, but we are absolutely over the moon, Michelle and I and the team, to be able to partner with you and Monty and the folks there and to really, you know, just I always say if you help enough people get what they want, you'll never want. And that's what we
Yeah,
want to do. We just want to help as many
Yes.
people.
Amen.
yeah,
But Chris, in your book, you talk about, we're in sales along with you, and you talk about the actual sales journey itself. And, and sometimes sales is tough. I mean, but what advice would you give to someone maybe who's kind of really struggling right now and maybe thinking about quitting? It's like throwing in the towel. I mean, any good advice for them?
yeah. I've interviewed thousands of agents over the years, and before I bring them on, I ask them, "Are you interested or are you committed?"
Mm,
Ooh.
mm,
Um, and and that was really the question my wife kind of asked me when she decided to keep me. But I was kind of on parole. but it was, are you interested? Are you committed? And one of the worst things that's developed in our country, and social media exacerbates it, is the belief that you can get something for nothing. And people think they can get something for nothing. And so, and I watched my dad do this his whole life, very successful, like as far as talent, and he was unbelievable, super charismatic, incredible people. But he believed you could get something for nothing. Um, and when it wasn't working out, he would just take the chicken exit and go the next path.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happens when you're interested. You bump up against a level of resistance, which is your beliefs and what you actually think is possible for you. And it's not comfortable. And I talk about approval addiction in my book. You should get the book just to understand approval addiction. We could do a whole podcast on approval addiction because I'm a recovering approval addict. But you have some things that don't feel good. And instead of busting through that resistance to go to a next level, you take a chicken exit and you quit. And there's a chapter in my book called Quitter's Relief is a Lie. That's a good chapter to read if you're thinking about quitting, because that relief from quitting, that initial sugar high you get is great, but then there's a later crash in your self-confidence, and quitting becomes a habit. So if you go to the gym, how do you develop muscle? You add resistance, right? So the resistance, it's happening for you. It's not happening against you. It's happening for you. You got to develop the resistance. So I told my wife, because I had to really work on my mindset around mentality, because it just blew her away that a CPA and a financial advisor could be $250,000 in debt and be broke. How's that even possible? Well, I had to do the work on my mindset and my beliefs around money. It was trash. I had to upgrade it. And I just said, I'm no longer interested in changing. I'm committed. And she's like, what do you mean by committed? I'm like, you know how an Olympic athlete treats their sport? Are they interested? Are they committed?
Mm-hmm.
They're
Hit
all
it.
in. They're all in. So that's the first thing I'd say. You got to ask that. And if you've been applying your business and you have a mindset of like, well, if this doesn't work out, then I'll go do that. You got to shut off that retreat, that path. And then the next thing I would tell you is encouragement. It's like a gas tank. I've watched discouragement kill more dreams than anything, right? And so you have to feed your encouragement meter every single morning, whatever that looks like. I get discouraged. I wake up discouraged, but I'm not going to leave my house or go to my next meeting discouraged. So what do I got to do? I got to go to the mental gym every single day, right? You brush your teeth every day. Hopefully you shower every day. You eat every day. Some people work out every day. I go to the mental gym every single day.
That's
And
good.
I pray, I visualize, I think about my dreams, I read good stuff, I encourage myself. I fill my encouragement meter up in the morning. And you got to do it. And if you make that a habit of just uninterrupted 30 minutes a day of working on you. I mean, think about it, 30 minutes a day over, I think, a year. It's like 4.5 working weeks of like working on you.
Wow.
Like it's going to change. Like
Yeah.
I get it, but you got to change. You got to grow. You got to develop. You got to put in the time. I wish it was easy, but I don't wish it was easy. You got to develop the entrepreneurial muscles and the mental toughness, and you got to see it through. But if you quit, no, that's the
Yeah.
worst thing you can do. And you got to feed that encouragement meter every single day. You got mentors like Monty, like I'd call him and he would just pour belief into me. I didn't need it every day, but there was times I'd be like,
We all need it from time to time.
yeah, yeah. I mean, 2008 was the lowest time of my life. I mean, I was thinking about quitting. And I called Monty and I'm like, help me, man. Like I'm thinking about exiting. And he said, yeah, it probably seems attractive, but if you do it, it'll feel good for a bit, but you'll forever regret it.
That's so good. There was a previous manager I had, and I'm really good at giving advice. I just, people listen to me probably because I'm loud. But one time after a meeting, she goes, that was really good sound advice you gave your team. I said, thank you very much, because I like recognition. And she says, do you follow that advice yourself? And at first I was like, yeah, duh. And when I really sat and thought about it, man, I give good advice, but half of it I wasn't following myself. Like, practice what you preach. You read all these self-help books. If you're smart, you do your due diligence spiritually, whether it's journaling, reading scripture. I love that you said going to the mental gym. We need that just as much as health, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I realized I was pouring everything I thought about into others and not into myself. And so if I'm not growing myself, how the heck can I help my team grow? And so she was right. I don't know if I was practicing any of what I was telling other people.
Yeah, I call it attending your own lectures.
Ooh,
Yeah.
wow. Well,
Yeah.
needless to say, I love the book. So, Chris, where can they
Mm-hmm.
find your book? And do you have a website to find out more about you and the other books you've written?
Yeah, all under construction. So
Okay.
we have a licensing deal going on with Couples Minds. Pretty exciting. Somebody reached out to us and said, I think we can take this to the next level. Can we do the work? I'm like, yes. So
Congratulations.
yeah, it's pretty cool. So you just find the book at on Amazon,
Amazon.
and
Okay.
you can
Mm-hmm.
find me on social media. Chris _ AOG. You can find me there. I'm on all Facebook, LinkedIn, those things, and I'm available for speaking to groups and those things. And you can reach me at TGY, Tom Good Young, TGY at chrisfelton.me. So that's how you can get a hold of me.
Perfect.
Chris, what's new for Chris Felton? Any big personal announcements? Maybe in the corporate world, another book or anything big you want to share with us?
No,
What's new?
outside, just doing some speaking stuff to agents and people in our industry, and just those things this time of year. Just call it the hand of God led me to right where I am. Like it's a pretty amazing journey, and I thank God every day for where I'm sitting. It's just it's unbelievable. What we're just getting started to do, and what we're going to do, and we're looking for more leaders and groups that have a similar mindset to you guys, that want to lock arms, and because everybody's just kind of in their own little sandboxes, building their little castles and all that, and that drives our visionary Monty crazy. He thinks that we're better together than apart, and
Yes.
and the amazing talent like you guys are a massive blessing to what we're doing, and the group we're pulling together. I mean, I think it's John Gordon. He said, I consult a lot of people that kind of leave their careers and they leave coaching behind. He said, man, you always need a mission, you need a team, and you need a scoreboard,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that is. And you better define your mission and your team and your scoreboard. And I feel like we're on the ultimate mission for our industry. We're already creating an incredible team with people like you guys, and we got a real big scoreboard in front of us, and we're 18 months ahead of plan. Which, I mean, how many companies
Wow.
can say that they're 6 months in and they're 18 months ahead of schedule? So I feel massively blessed. So those are the things.
We're very grateful that he put you and Monty and the team in our path, and it will put us in your path. We're very grateful. One thing I know, Michelle, before we wrap up, when I met Chris, we went to Utah back in August. We had a meeting out there with Monty and those folks, and they gave me a silver dollar. So I don't know, Monty, if you remember that, Chris, at the meeting. And there you go.
Get
Yes.
one.
Yeah. It's like well, you'll be at the next meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
So if Monty happens to be watching this, Monty, I have that on my desk every day. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, within arm's length. Yeah.
I
So
love that. I love that.
mhm.
Monty said something when we met with him. It was really, really good. And he said, when when all of us in the industry, we're doing something very similar, right? We're all working together, but we're all in silos. And we're all trying to achieve the same thing in the industry. Can you imagine how powerful we'd be if we all found a way to team together? We're all after the same thing, and there's plenty to go around. And I'm like, that's so true because, every person wants to open their own insurance company. They want to be successful, and that's an okay dream. But you got to learn from each other to the people who've already been successful doing it. So he really got me thinking about all the different silos in the industry. And if we did come together for the same cause we're already trying to achieve, how powerful that could be.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
So well
Well,
said. Yeah.
so now you guys know Chris Felton. You've heard about the books he's written, but most importantly, yes, the cat's out of the bag. InsurTech Hub is starting its very own life division and wink, wink, Medicare division in February, just 2 weeks away. And in our life division, we are partnering with AOG. So we, again, are thrilled to be with Jamie, Chris, and Monty Holmes. You will hear more about those details coming soon. So if you are looking at adding life to your portfolio, or you already have life as a product, but you're looking for a little mentorship, maybe a higher contract, we can help you with that. Absolutely. So, Chris, thank you for being our first guest of 2026. I think this was a breath of fresh air, honestly.
Yeah. Honored to be here with you guys. I appreciate you trusting me to talk to your crew. So,
yes.
Amen.
Cheers.
Our crew's your crew. All righty. Cheers.
All right, everyone. We'll see you next week for another episode of Caffeinated Coverage Talk. Take care.
Take care. Have a great week.